All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over basically the material that I'm going to create or have started to create for the AWD 1000 Web Technologies class. Previously, I did this lecture where we get the info from, and that was all of the different URLs, so I'm not going to go over that. I've already done the PowerPoint videos, and there are about 16 or 17 of those. I've done the case studies. There's about 12 of those. So now it's time to come in here and start doing the HTML, HTML5, CSS, and CSS3 fundamentals videos. Now I've broken the HTML stuff down here, and I've got the CSS stuff here. So what I'm planning on doing is talking first about the doc type statement, HTML statement, head statement, title statement, meta, link, source, and body, kind of the overall types of things. From there, we'll go in and we'll look at the 6 different types of header tags. We'll go in and talk about the paragraph tag, how to do formatting text, unordered lists. I don't know, I got that there. Ordered lists. Very quickly on definition lists, which I very rarely if ever use, images, forms, then get into the little bit about the HTML5 form stuff, tables, links, HTML entities, iframes. And the main stuff for HTML5 will be this and these right here. All right. And now, if you were to ask me, if you were to say, is this going to be one video? Is this going to be several videos? Don't know. Don't really care right now. I will tell you that in this particular example, I don't care a lick about CSS. So all I'm trying to do is just go over some of these major tags with you. So I'm going to do this, and then we'll see where we go from there. All right? So let's see. Okay, so what I've just put out here, for lack of better words, is kind of a prototypical template for what you'd probably do when you're starting to create a web page. Now, I did this by hand. There are tools that'll generate it for you. You can go out and just to show you, I don't want to waste my time or yours, but just to show you this, if I want to, I can go out to I can't remember the name of the site right now. I'll get it. And we'll look at that in just a minute. But let's just talk about what we have. All right, the first statement that you see here is a doc type statement. And that says that the document type that we're working with right now is HTML. And even more than that, it says that the document type that we are using is HTML5. Now you'll notice it doesn't say 5, but that's the new and improved doc type statement. Sometimes you'll see doc type in capital letters. Sometimes you'll see the doc type with just a capital D. I like to take all my tags and put them in lowercase. That's kind of the recommendation. All right. So again, this is the doc type. I do want to mention to you, okay, there's in W3 schools, but I did want to show you because these are the older doc types. So this is the new one. And these here that you see are the older ones. There's even more. You can go down here and look at these. I'm not going to go through any of that stuff. But what I want to tell you is if you look at older versions of HTML, you're going to notice that the doc type is a lot bigger. All right? Public and then a bunch of stuff. And you'll notice strict, transitional, and frame set. What the heck does that mean? Well, if we look at the HTML tag reference, what you'll notice is this as we work our way through here, and I've never counted these, I should do that sometime, but there's probably 70, 80 tags. Some of these tags have red writing by them that say not supported in HTML5. So if you use the strict doc type, you can't use any of those tags because those tags are what are known as deprecated, which means that over time they should go away. How long? I don't know. All right. There's one here that says transitional. And if you use a transitional HTML doc type, that means you can use those deprecated tags. So strict means you can't, transitional means you can, and with frame set, all right, it's the same as transitional. And really, I think it's more that I don't think they're right here when they say it's equal to the transitional. But I believe, well, I guess that's what they're saying. Frame set says that transitional says you can use everything but frame set. And frame set says you can use everything, including frame stuff. And if you notice, there's some frame stuff here. Now, you might say, okay, Jeff, that's fine. Do I have to care about this? The bottom line is there is still code out there that has the older doc types. But this, and I'm just going to put a comment off to the side here. That's the HTML5 document type. All right, let's save this, and we'll see the colors change once we do. So I'm going to throw it on the desktop. Typically, these files are saved as something like index.html. Okay? All right. So the next thing is HTML other than that doc type, and you'll notice that virtually everything in here except that doc type is now in blue. Those are all keywords, but doc type, for whatever reason, is not a keyword. So the next thing that we have in there is the HTML tag. And our entire HTML page will go between the HTML tags here and here. Now you don't have to put in here language equals English, but most people do. If you leave it out, it's the default. So I'm not even going to put a comment there. So that's the HTML tag with language equals English. Now the head tag, everything that you see in the head tag, does not appear on the page. All right? Whereas later, when we look at the body, everything you do within the body does appear on the page. Okay? So what do we have in this head section? The head section is delineated with our beginning and our end head tags. The first thing you have is a title. And what is the title? Well, the title appears in the tab. And you say, what the heck is in the tab? All right. That's the tab up here. So if I say web page title and I save this and now I run it, what you're going to see up here is it's going to say web page title, or as much of it as can be shown. Web page title. There's nothing in here yet because I haven't put any actual content in. All right. For lack of better words, this right here means we're going to be using a Unicode character set. And even more than that, it's an 8-bit Unicode character set. All right, and the character set, for lack of better words, it's kind of the way that the system recognizes the different characters that you're going to use internally. All right, now the next one, I really don't have enough room for that here, so I'm going to put the comment here. And we're going to put include an external CSS style sheet. You could say, well, Jeff, you said you weren't going to put any of that in here. I'm not, but I'm showing you that belongs in the head tag. We'll get into that in later. Same thing in here. We're not going to put this in, but I'm showing you this will include an external JavaScript file. All right. So there's the beginning of our head. There's the end of our head. There's the beginning of our title, the end of our title. I tend to use tabs the way that I've shown them to you here. It's just the way that I've started to do things. You may or may not agree with it, but it's okay. So all of these tags that we're going to look at, all of these, header, paragraph, everything that you see in here, all of that stuff. All right, every single bit of that, that's all going to go inside of the head section. Everything that we do. All right? Okay, let's see where I am for time. No, just fine. All right, so let's ramble on. First, we've got header tags. Again, to me, it's always easiest just to show you this. So I'm going to put in here H1. Oops, I'm an H1 header tag. All right, I'm going to copy this 6 times because we go from H1 to H6. Every time we step up, the size gets smaller. So H1 is actually the biggest tag, and H6 is actually the smallest tag. Now, many people will tell you when they're working on this stuff, they probably don't go much lower than maybe an H3 or an H4. Typically, there's not a lot of reason for doing that. But again, it depends. All right, so you see what I've got in here right now. So I've discussed with you everything before the body section. Hopefully we've done enough in there that it makes sense to you. And now we're going to look at this. So I want to save again, and we'll run this. And you can see, again, those are default font sizes, and it's also by default, this is going to be bolded. All right? I'm an H1, I'm an H2, and you see down when you get to the H6, they're so small, they're probably very rarely used. At least that's what I have found over time. All right. A paragraph. Well, that probably is the most obvious. And I'll tell you what, as I go over something new, I'll take what I had been working on and I'm just going to comment it out. All right, so right now I've got 3 paragraphs that I put in here. They're not doing much, but you can see them. And when I go and run this now, there's our paragraphs. Again, they will have a default font size, a default font size, a default font type. All right, and you can always change that. We'll get to that later on. Now, both H1 and P tags, they're known as inline elements. An inline element automatically has blank spaces before it, a blank space, blank line, and a blank line after it. So hopefully you saw those. What do we have next? Formatting text. Well, I've started to show you this already, but you know, when you start going in here, you can look and you can type in, for example, HTML text formatting. And one of the first things you're going to find whenever you do this is going to be W3 schools. All right, and we're going to look at, let's look at each one of the ones that they mention here. So let's copy these. And we'll throw them in here. So again, I'm going to take what I have been doing, comment that out, okay, and I'm going to add all the new stuff. So I'm going to hit some blank lines in here. All right. So we're going to look at examples of each one of these. Now, I just told you that these tags, the H1 through H6 and the P tags, they're what are known as block level tags. Block level tags mean that there is a blank line before them and a blank line after them. These, all of these that you see right here, these are known as inline tags. What that means is there won't be a blank line before them or after them. I'm going to put in a paragraph here. I'm going to add a bunch of these tags. All right. All right, first, would you like to see some bold text? All right. And what we'll do is, as we add these new things in here, we'll bring them in. But for right now, I'm just going to comment all of this out. Okay, so here's our, let's finish our P tag. So that's all it should show, but notice where it says bold text. Watch when I run this. All right, hopefully you can tell that that is in bold. All right, another way that we can do this way of entering some bold text. Now, when you first look at this, your natural inclination might be, well, these are the same thing, aren't they? Because when we run this, they both look like they bolded it, and they both did. That is correct. They both did bold it. All right. So what's the difference between using a B tag and a strong tag? Well, the first most noticeable difference is the fact that when you use the B tag, you've got a lot less typing to do. All right. 1 character as opposed to 6 characters. All right. That said, the recommendation today is that you, even though it's more typing, you use strong. All right? Bold, you have no guarantee that the B tag for bold is going to be handled exactly the same way in different browsers, especially people who have some kind of, I'm not going to say an impairment, but let's just say that they're challenged in their browser, that's affected in their browser. So what the recommendation is that you don't use the B tag, rather, you use the strong tag. That said, there are literally millions of sites around that still use the B tag. So it's not going away. But the recommendation is today that rather than use the B tag, you use the strong tag. All right? So let's get rid of those. Now we'll work on these. So I showed you bold, and now I'm showing you italicized. And you'll notice that when we run these, there were our bold. Here's our italicized. Hopefully you can tell from looking at that italicized text in both of these, they're italicized. So again, what's the difference? Well, again, they're twofold. All right, one thing is, as we looked at before, there's a little more typing, 2 letters as opposed to 1. But again, when you start talking about using browsers for people that have special needs, the recommendation today is that you don't use the I tag anymore. You use the M. So again, don't use B, use strong. Don't use I, use M. I means italicize, M means emphasis. All right? So there's some. Let's just keep going on. All right, next, that's pretty simple. We'll use the mark statement. And we'll just say the mark tag is used to, let's use it, mark up some text for whatever reason. All right, so let's look at the mark tag. Pretty obvious. It's yellow. Sometimes people use this and they use the mark statement if you're going to have a document that's going to be edited by different people, for example. And I believe you can use the mark tag and probably even change the color on it. All right, let's keep going. Next is small. All right. Small has kind of changed over time, but let's just say the small tag which looks like this in the browser is typically used almost exclusively in footers. So let's look at that. Hopefully you can tell that's smaller, where it says which looks like this in the browser. Now it is possible, just so you know, I wanted to show you this, you can combine these tags. So if I want, I could use strong here. But if I use strong here and small's inside of it, then I should always have my tags like this. I should go strong, small, small, strong. Not small, not strong, small, for example. All right, so in this case, if you look, you'll notice that both, that's smaller and it's bolded. So I can combine these in any way I would like to, need to, want to, have to, or whatever. All right, let me remove that. I just wanted to show you that in case you did not realize it. All right, next is the delete tag for deleted text. The del tag is used to show deleted text. i.e. text that will not be used any longer. Okay, so let's take a look at that one. And again, pretty obvious with most of these tags, when you take a look at them, what's going on. All right. Just about to the end here. 3 more tags. And let's do this one. Let's copy. And here we'll say the INS tag is used to show inserted text, i.e. text that will be added to a page. Don't know why that looks like that, so let's look. Oh, because I didn't change it. That's got to say INS. All right, now it should look a little different. Notice it gets the underline automatically. All right, just a couple more. So what's left is the sub tag for subscripting and the sup tag for superscripting. Let me just grab this here. So the sub tag is used to show subscripted text, i.e. text that is lower, we'll just say, than other text. And while I'm doing this, because they're so close, the sup tag is used to show superscripted text, i.e. text that is higher than other text. All right, so let's grab all that. Okay, save and run this. And you can see the subscripted is down below and the superscripted is up above. All right. So, as we start to make our way through here, you notice there's a lot of stuff to go over. So we've done doc type, we've done header, paragraph, and formatting. I think this is a good place to stop. about 30 minutes in. So I'll stop, and in the next one we'll go over unordered lists, ordered lists, and definition lists at a minimum.